smoke. She's gonna go down. Walkshick with the AW
position. Earthshaker's moving in as well. Echo Slam connects on the two. Macro tired down as well.
Always wins the brawl. Or can we cast the cursor? Oh, there we go.
LOOT.BET.
It's amazing how much I love betting on esports. It's so cool. What's even better is when I can use Cash Out. Wait, you didn't know about Cash Out? Cash Out is when you can get your stake back even when your bet is going against you. Just one hit and your money is safe. So go to LOOT.BET to cash out now.
Welcome back, folks, to map number 2, Espada versus Hard Legion, and we're here on Sunny Mirage. It's certainly set to be an interesting one, as Hard Legion, for the first time in this head-to-head matchup, they take a map victory against Espada, now looking for a 2-0, of course, Tom. Mirage, a map where they historically haven't done super well, Hard Legion, but it's also one of those maps in Counter-Strike where teams who are playing a little bit looser, a little bit more aggressive, can do well anyway, despite maybe losing a couple of maps previously to strong teams.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I feel like that's probably why it's one that suits the Espada roster, because from what I saw in Inferno, they definitely didn't seem to have too much in terms of, like, even team synergy. It was more just individuals trying to make things happen, like a very aggressive peaks, pushes, and just trying to take the firefights as much as possible. So I would say that this map definitely seems to suit them better. There's lots of opportunities to get aggressive. You can try and take middle control. You've got the underpass. You've got peeks into Palace and apps, and even a face onto ramp. Like, there's not really a position on this map where you would say isn't open for aggression, even on the CT side. And I think that should definitely play into their hands. Also, a lot of the time on the T side, you're looking for those opening picks. And that was something that Espada was actually able to do very, very well. It was just the late round decision making that seemed to be a little bit off. So I think this should definitely play further into their hands. At the same time, I think if Forrester can continue to reign supreme as he did, and if Rage can still do well in that AWP battle facing off against Dexter, they do still have the opportunity here. But either way, Ryan, we are going to be getting right into our pistol round. It is going to be the CT side start for Hard Legion, where I will slightly lean the map in that favor, but it's a very even map at this point and can go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite literally like 55-45 at best for CT, and even that's pushing it. So definitely all to play for here as Espada look to kick things off towards a B-site play. Kinky, first man to spot what's coming, decides not to drop off and actually takes the repeat here, which could be quite nice if he lands a shot, but getting close against a Glock is a double-edged sword, and this time around does not pay off. So 4v4, that's where we find ourselves now. Espada should be getting a bomb plant any second, and from there it'll be all about the retake.
CT
I love this too.
Don't. Yeah, he's in a good position. Oh, what a shot coming out from Crad. Just the reaction, that's basically going to get them the round, I think. He's already managed to get 2 kills. Only one man standing now as Patsy has to try and clutch this out. Now, there isn't a kit, so if he could somehow bait out 10 seconds, maybe they got a chance. But that reaction shot from Crad was absolute filth. I hope we have that from his point of view.
That is just disgusting. There's no way you should ever be able to land that.
No, we don't. It was so quick, even production didn't see it coming.
The thing is, him getting that kill, as you said, opens up the entire round, because then he gets the frag on the play. It's slightly just under apps, and from there everything just sort of completely unwraps for the CT side. What a start for them. What a start for Crad. That's got to give him some confidence going into this one, surely.
Well, you'd hope so, for sure. Either way, T side do get themselves a bomb plant. We've seen this buy already before. It's going to be the Galeals alongside a singular AK. Lots of rifles being purchased this time for Hard Legion just to try and make sure that they're going to be able to take this one away. They have the little bait and switch into middle. I don't know if Patsy will expect this. He will. That's going to be a nice, easy kill for him. Even getting the second. Great start to the round for the T's. Already trading positively. Now they can slow things back down a little bit. They've got middle control. The CT side are going to try and make some sort of reaction. And as of right now, that's easier said than done. Kinky basically just going to have to make a god tier play. But they have gambled on the A side. They have a player just underneath in shadow. And one sitting in the sandwich as well. This might not be expected. And considering Sophic doesn't have any armor, he'll get absolutely shredded. So there is still a possibility for Hard Legion. I do like the gamble plays they make, the calls they make midway through the round. However, that kill coming in from Dima should make things impossible. These two remaining players really do have to go absolutely ham, and Crad just getting himself into the corner is going to be checked. It's left all onto Forrester. 1 versus 4. Has spotted the bomb. He's going to try and get more than 1 kill, but he can't do anything versus Dexter. Too quick on the refrag, and it's going to be Espada taking home that second round. And Hard Legion, they're going to have nothing left in the bank.
This pretty much recovers everything after dropping the ball on pistol, letting Crad go wild. Now they gain this round back, and it should see Hard Legion doing one or two things. Either they have to save, or they go full gung-ho, force it up, and try to get 2-1 here and keep that lead, which is, of course, what they've gone for. So it will be Deagles galore, scout and play on Rage, but it's not looking too good here for the CTs, to be honest. There isn't really much you can do here. When you're up against this SMG rifle lineup, Espada should be able to just get aggressive, crunch onto B, and the site should be theirs.
I always get a little bit more worried when I'm watching CIS teams, just because they do have these power with the pistols. Flashbang's actually going to leave them a little bit blind, but yeah, the site completely under the control of this T side. I think they'd have to make quite a serious mistake for this one to go wrong. And already going to be opening up a couple of kills onto short. Sophic in a good position. He's going to go down. But ultimately, with no kit, you almost just want to see these pistols saved over into the next round, just so there's something for the CT side to play with.
Just makes round 4 a little bit more palatable, to be honest, doesn't it? Because otherwise they're going to have USPs pretty much. So just being able to take a Mac 10 Kevlar, for example, or a Deagle Kevlar even is, well, it's better than nothing, to be frank about it. Actually doing a good bit of damage here as well.
Kill. Yeah, it's something for sure. And unfortunately, they don't manage to get any of their weaponry except for a Mac 10, which is not going to be ideal. I suppose that's an opportunity, at least, for Kinky to maybe make an extra bit of cash. He can probably drop that Deagle. Oh, he's actually going to drop the... Is he really dropping the Mac 10? I feel like that's kind of toxic, just because he has Kevlar and his teammate doesn't. So obviously the Mac 10 is going to be much more viable in his hands, but clearly just going, nah, I don't really want it. So you could have a Mac 10 no armor for this round. Not a fan of that. I think definitely be a bit smarter to keep the Mac 10 on the player with armor, but nonetheless, we'll see if it works out for them.
Perhaps Fiat's just gone, yoink, I want that Mac 10, thanks very much.
I think it's more likely the other way around, where it's just like, I don't want the Mac 10, I'd rather have my Deag.
Well, maybe we'll see some wild Deagle plays. All of the clips we've seen so far do seem to come from Mirage after all. I think it's the map probably where that Deagle jumping changer has the most impact, to be honest. Areas like B-Apps, for example.
Yeah, I do imagine that most of these teams do have a bit of a gentleman's agreement. And also, like, you see some of the pro players, for example, Rops, basically tweeting how he doesn't think he'll have that much of a difference. Like, maybe you'll see 1 or 2 like crazy shots every once in a while, but chances are, like, when you're using the Deagle, you're not really jumping that much. Like, it's only if you were caught out, like, it moving somewhere where it would make a difference. Sure, if you were gonna, like, look to abuse it, there's a possibility, but I think these teams won't be doing that versus each other. It'd be a bit of an awkward thing to do. Nonetheless, this round has gone very well. Kinky coming up with 2 kills. Sviat as well has found one off the back of that Mac 10. Crad in a strong position here, and he doesn't quite manage to close out his opponent. That could come back to haunt them, because this was an opportunity, but I like the position from Sviat. Look how much time is left on the clock. 15 seconds. Getting this bomb down at the moment is somewhat impossible. Patsy has so many angles to try and hold, and that's it. That's the round done. He has to try and get onto the bomb site very, very quickly. It does actually have time to plant, but they're just going to run in, and that will be it. Very nice round coming up for the CT side. They've just managed to steal one away based off absolutely nothing invested.
Nicely played from his feet as well, not only from his position, but also just the fact that he didn't overcommit. He could have just wide swung that, took the jewel and died. But he basically just became the world's largest thorn in the side of Espada, just by kind of shoulder peeking, just showing that he's there, but not doing anything. And that's the smartest way he could have played that, because he bought all the time, all the attention for his teammate in CT to get that kill on the player that was trying to go for the plant, making it that 2-on-1.
The T's are going to invest into this one. Forrester, like, he's so good individually that some of the peaks he's taken are so incredibly risky, but he seems to get away with them. The jump up into the apartments, facing into a man ready and waiting for him, still manages to get the kill. And now with the two-man advantage, the T side are somewhat stuck in the apartment. Now, there haven't actually been any rotations yet, and that could actually play into the hands of the CT side, because with the rotation now looking to go back, they haven't actually moved any of their defense off the A side.
Interesting to see what Sviat can do here. He is holding top con after all. Just hoping that he doesn't decide to actually take con control here, because I think that would be a bit of a disaster for the CTs, to be honest. You always want them to kind of just turtle up, play A site defensively, sit on B, maybe use that one player towards short to kind of be a bit of an early warning system, but for the most part, you just want them to sit tight and wait, because it's a 3-on-5. Even with jungle control conceded here, you're able to see this, you're able to know what's going on, so as long as they're being smart about that, this is pretty much good to go. Already the trades come through thick and fast. It leaves just Dima. One man standing, 20 seconds on the clock. Tom, there is no way in hell he wins this round.
No, and with the backwards and forwards nature of how this has gone so far, the T's actually aren't going to have enough money to buy into this one. So that slip up could really cost them. Like, well, we've seen them do quite well on their T sides, but at least for now, the CT side's fully in the advantage. Maximum just a few pistols here. They don't have the extra cash to spend anything more, and this is a real chance for Hard Legion to get off to a very strong start on their CT side, even after the slip up in the second round. So they've been gifted almost a bit of a lifeline. T's, I'm actually interested to see what they're going to attempt here. Maybe just waiting to see if there's any aggression into mid. It's quite a common strategy, is to try and take that control. Instead, they're just going to make the split through Sviat. He's been playing out in mid. I don't mind it in rounds where it's a buy, because it can be quite an unorthodox strategy, but they've done it already, so it was kind of expected. And when you should have a decent idea that you're up against pistols, standing in the middle of mid is just such a risk.
Yeah, you're just going to get spammed down. That's one thing the Glocks love to do, is just hold mouse 1 and keep tapping away at you. So, a risky position, but either way, it does work out. Only losing one rifle. Money starting to get built up pretty quickly on the Hard Legion side. I think Rage is on $7,000 right now, so a very good place to be for the CTs. And another crucial buy here for Espada, to be honest. Dexter, of course, able to get the AWP up, but with absolutely no utility.
Well, it does mean that he is basically just going to be the cannon for this round. Dima looking to try and sneak his way through. Now, look at the defense at the moment for Hard Legion. It's heavy on the A site, a little bit of presence into mid, and this man is left all on his own. Kinky, he manages to keep himself alive with the smoke. Pretty important, in fact. He hasn't actually fallen off just yet, but I imagine he will. And has called in for a little bit of support at the same time. In the meantime, Dexter and a couple of other players are looking to try and dominate mid control once again. Hard Legion have not really challenged for this too much. Like, we've seen a couple of rounds where there's been a player in mid just watching for under, but it hasn't really been working. So just like on Inferno, we're going to see them fall into a little bit more of a passive play. Forrester, this is what I mean. Like, he's very aggressive in his plays. He gets the first. I think that's where he needs to give up on it and try and just stay alive. Instead, he falls. Oof. The aggression in. It looked like that should have been a kill for Dima, but instead, it's actually the CT side holding on, holding their ground, and they're going to win that one with 3 players surviving. That looked like a good opportunity for Espada, but Hard Legion giving them a run for their money.
What a hold. I mean, the fact that Deem is unable to get a kill there is a decisive victory for those players on the B site. He did catch them by surprise. He got the first 2 or 3 shots off, and then they just flicked and shut him down. And this is risky now, Tom, because obviously money for Espada, not in a great place. They fully bought with everything they had into that previous round, so now it's just deagles across every player bar Dexter. He's, of course, saving for the AWP, so this more than likely goes 6-2. It's another very decisive start for Hard Legion on their CT side.
Oh, Crad. Bit of an awkward duel, but he does manage to get away with it. Team already tagged relatively low, and I like the few different off angles. Nice couple of shots though. These are duels that you really can't be affording to lose, and that's gonna be a rifle into the hands of Sotfik and a attempted peek back towards B. I don't even know if the player on the site will have any idea, but he does manage to make his way onto short at least. The real issue is the fact that the bomb's actually still at the top of mid. So if that's been spotted, then that could be a bit more of a problem. Even still, is there going to be any more kills coming in? Timing actually doesn't work out too well for Kinky. So there's potential there, but luckily his teammate has him covered. And now Finnegan, left alone, 1 versus 3, does have the bomb in his control. The A site not quite open, as there is a man in the middle, but it is the man with the AWP and Rage. A little bit lucky with the timing, but Hard Legion, they rectify the early problems of that round.
Unfortunately, the damage done as well is, I don't want to say meaningless, but money is really good right now for Hard Legion. $9,000+ on Rage, $7,000 on Crad. Only players struggling are Forrest and Sviat, who, I think due to the nature of just how they've been playing, have been losing a lot more rifles here, because they do tend to be a tad more on the aggressive side.
Yeah, the way Forrester plays is almost like just sheer irritation. Like, he will get in the faces of his opposition, and I guess in a sense it could be said that he is almost just playing on the minds of his opponent for the majority of the time. Like, he will do things that you kind of have to counter, but it's very difficult to, considering it's not anything overly consistent. The time of it is almost random. Like, he's somewhat the loose chain when it comes to this Hard Legion side. Either way, once again, we're going to see probing on towards this B side. It seems to be something that they really want to crack. Normally, most teams are A heavy. Kinky has been caught out a little bit by the timing. However, well, I thought he was going to win the duel in the end. He doesn't. Now with 1T deep within the B site, it is looking like this is going to be more of a retake this time.
We finally get a taste of what Hard Legion can do on a proper retake, so this is a great opportunity to see if they've really got it on their CT side. Of course, Espada playing this one so far relatively well. They've got Sotfik tucked in here, just waiting for that market exit. Forrester on a very long flank with Sphere as well, and they've got Dexter holding this, so that's an important duel they're going to have to win early on here, as unfortunately 1 down, 1 to go. Not looking too good here. 13 seconds left on the bomb. I think Espada managed to hold this one off.
Yeah, at this point, it just comes down to the save. Maybe Forrester can remove a couple of extra players. But actually, in fact, they lose both of theirs. A couple of fairly low people over on the Espada side, but ultimately doesn't make a difference. And Dexter holding off players on the rotate, doing a very good job in the end. Of course, as you mentioned already, CT side do have plenty of cash to rebuy into this one, but they are going to have to spend the majority of it to get everything that they desire. And actually sticking more money into the AUGs. I wonder if this will become a bit of a trend, as we saw it for quite a while, that the org was very much in fashion. Then it fell back out again. And now it seems like with the slight buff to not being scoped, players are actually starting to pick it up once again. So I'm looking forward to seeing maybe a bit more variety within Counter-Strike. But 6-3, Hard Legion now wanting to just break back and slam Espada back down into the ground. They would still have a buy. The loss bonus has yet to be diminished, but At the same time, for the CT side, if they lose this one, then they'll be running out of cash.
Quick one trade so far. Oblivious to CT. Crad gets another one for his troubles, though. That is huge. As Rage picks them apart with the AWP. That leaves just Dima and Dexter to try and claw their way on towards A. Dima's in a good position here, but his teammate nowhere to be seen. And really no impact that he can have from Connector right now. The only thing they can do is try and plant for him, and then use him in that after plant. Problem is, this player CT going to make that really damn difficult for him. Just spraying through the boxes, deny the plant completely. Dexter will get a few picks here, but I don't imagine anything more. He'll just have to get aggressive to go for that bomb. Not going to happen. Hard Legion, they maintain their dominant lead.
Well, the tease, as mentioned, they're going to utilize the loss bonus to continue to purchase. And the CT side's economy is still somewhat on the brink. It's definitely not stable as it was before. Even still, though, definitely looking like the better team, at least today. Espada not quite showing why, statistically, they've looked like quite a good squad. Maybe we'll see a little bit more from them on the CT side. And of course, there's still a long way to go in this first half. Nice start from Rage, though. And it seems like the teammate up top, Finnegan, was not quick enough to react. No trade available. You can see that the CT side is starting to get a little bit more cheeky every round that passes by. And with another successful opening pick, you now wonder what's actually going to be there for Espada. Because as said, that's what I was expecting from them on this map. They're meant to be the team that is the aggressor, that's finding a lot of these frags early on, and that helps them to open up the site. It's their individual skill. When it comes down to the strategy, mid-round calls, when it comes down to even like a lot of the executions, we've not really seen anything across the two maps. Now, maybe it's just a poor day for whoever's calling, but at the moment, we're just seeing individual peak after individual peak. Dima tries to refrag alone on B. He loses his battle and makes things twice as bad as they were. And now, well, the remaining players can't really do too much other than the same thing. Another individual duel. Guess what? The CT side won it once again. Another one comes in over onto apartments and Flakes. I'm starting to wonder if this is a team game whatsoever, or if Espada just playing some DM.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of sums up my Valorant game this morning, where it's just 1 versus 1 versus 1. Every player trying to be a hero. Hard Legion hitting every shot.
Question is, did you win?
We did. We won 13-2, so...
Well, there you go. Clearly that's how to play.
That is the way to play the game. You just... Every player tries to be the next Nico, and you win the game. Happy days.
Joe, I've learned, though, from all my time playing Counter-Strike. I'm not quite Nico? As good as Nico. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have seen that.
He's slightly better. Like, I reckon if we played a 1v1, like, he'd beat me maybe like 6 out of 10. I think I could take him at least 4 times.
Maybe with your auto shotgun.
Maybe
play,
if he was only allowed to use his feet, then maybe I'd beat him. Maybe. I think that would still be a 6 out of 10. Like, I think I'd win a few times if he wasn't allowed to use his hands, but
I think I'd still
then
bet
again,
on
you
him.
never know.
Even with feet only, I'd still bet on him, unfortunately.
Do you know what? I reckon if I gave him enough time, he could be like top 100 player just using his feet. Anyway, this round has not been too interesting. That is why we are talking about some weird topics. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 people in the chat who are enjoying this conversation. Maybe a little bit too much. But even still, 9-3. Really not seeing anything at the moment from Espada. The CT side economy is booming once again, so any chance of breaking them has diminished at least for another couple of rounds. But at the moment, I'm less worried about the economy of Hard Legion and more worried about what's actually happening for Espada, because it seems like even individually they've fallen off, which was the main selling point for me in this side, is that they would be able to at least play well fragging. We're finally going to see an execution into the site, which is not something we've witnessed so far, but Crad He just throws a spanner in the works. He peeks over into the ramp as they look to try and start their execution. A smoke going to be dropped down as well. So by the time they actually get into the site, all of their grenades will have faded. And they only have a singular smoke and flashbangs left. So in reality, they kind of have to go now. But at the same time, there's 4 players on this site. They're going to be walking into a straight-up stack. The apartments have been pushed, but they still managed to get the opening kills. Finally pushing this one together might be the cure to Hard Legion. They're going to get themselves another kill, and this is looking much better. It's left onto Forrester. He always seems to be good for 1, but he is going to be shut out of this.
But they wait for ramp, though. Look at Kinky.
Spammed through. But he is buying time. He's buying a lot of time for Kinky and actually drops the bomb. That could be enough. He just about gets around the corner. And there you go. Forrester has said he's always good for 1. Somehow this has swung back and he's even going to win the battle against his opponent as well. Somehow, even after everything went wrong for Hard Legion, 2 players managed to drag things back. And it seems like Espada just can't do anything right.
That's so unfortunate for them. They win that round every day of the week if you remove ramp from the equation. But that flank from Kinky, what a smart decision from him to go for that long rotate. Yes, it's tight, it's risky, but it works out so well. And then when you throw Forrester into the mix, like you said, good for 1, makes it to the double kill, in fact. I mean, what's not to love?
Well, once again, it seems like these faster players are what's actually working out for Espada. A quick move in towards the A site, and they have opened things up. Of course, the CTs do actually have enough money that they could risk this and try and fight things back. Soltvik, nice couple of shots. 3 kills to his name in this round, and now Forrester, well, not going to do anything this time. They pick up the pace. Hard Legion, they may be in double digits, but they're going to want to try and get that 11th round. It's always an issue, I feel, when teams let the last couple of rounds slip, because then it gives your opponent at least that little bit of hope, that little bit of momentum, which the way this half has gone, Espada shouldn't have.
Curious to see if they can get themselves their 5th round here. Tom maybe makes that second half just a little bit more achievable. This was such a bleak game, bear in mind. I thought this was over, to be honest, if things kept up the way they were going. Perhaps the aggressive style of Counter-Strike is the solution. Once more, diving out on towards A, but this time it's a swan dive into an AWP. 10 points on the board. Looking very wonderful. Espada will actually manage to get out, to be fair. Leaving themselves in a 3-on-2. Dexter going to be looking for a pick. Should be able to get Rage. From there, leaves just Kinky.
1 versus 3. Not looking too likely for him here. He's going to be able to sneak his way through. Now, if he can find the man in the corner, there's a chance, but Finnegan ready and waiting. A 10-5 half, a couple of rounds to at least give a lifeline over to Espada after what was mostly a dominating Hard Legion performance. However, we did see a much stronger CT side from Hard Legion in the last map as well. So we'll see if they can actually pull things off on the T side, or if Espada are going to be dragging this back and looking to try and take us to a 3rd map.
My concern is that Espada's strategy seemed very much, okay, we're winning rounds by just holding W out A. There wasn't really a huge amount of team play to it. What do you need on your CT side, Tom? Team play.
Individual skill.
Well, a bit of that, and also you need to be able to play it together. The rotations have to be on point. You have to be able to communicate. There has to be some substance to the way you play.
Do you know what you really
team.
need? A PP Bison. That's what you need.
Of course.
5 PP Bison, brush mid. That's how you win. Take it from me. Like, would I ever steer you wrong?
Isn't that how you win your matchmaking games? I'm fairly sure.
That's how I win every game. I'm global elite too. They saw me using the Bison and they had to make a new rank just for me. Or it's silver too. I can't remember. It's one of those. One of those. I can't quite remember. Either way, it is going to be the T side looking to try and set themselves up into the B side. They've got a lot of smokes. I expect those to be going down onto short. Makes it very difficult from anybody around that position, around Cat, to actually have any impact in the round. But look at this from Patsy. This is a problem. Rage is ready for this. Really? That is surprising. He was so prepared for the flank. I don't know if that's just research into what their opposition like to do. That's a nice shot from Dexter, but he's only going to get one. But yeah, that's a sick round from Rage. It's like he was in the minds of his opposition. Demon's going to get flashback. And now the bomb is going to be able to make its way over on towards the A site. A very nice pistol round coming out from the T side. And I have to say, like, I don't know how he knew this was coming. Maybe he expected it to come from top mid, but even the angle he was holding seemed like he knew it was coming from spawn. So I wonder if that is just a hard read from previous matches versus Espada, or if he's just a madman. Either way, it is going to be 11-5. The CTs are going to be purchasing into this one. No surprises there. And this is Hard Legion's chance to actually convert the round. Because remember, they did make the mistake of losing the second round in the last half. Imagine how dominant it could have been if they hadn't.
Exactly. I think for Espada as well, this is kind of almost a motivation moment. They need this round. You got to imagine how tough it must feel. You go into this one with a good CT pistol setup. What they doing was smart. And then if Hard Legion just have Rage positioned, ready and waiting to shut you down, their confidence must be down in the dirt. So I feel like for Espada, repeating their success in this second round force-up is pretty crucial, to be honest, to what we'll see in the second half. They don't win this. Not only are we looking at 12, but 13 as well. I don't know if they'll be able to bring it back.
Well, minute left on the clock. The T's taking their time here. I am a little bit worried that CT side are going to have the right call by the time this move actually comes in. They've got a couple of players around the connector. 35 seconds left on the clock for Hard Legion to make their move. The smokes are going to fall, but the CTs are going to challenge through it. Nice shot from Dexter. He hits the tag onto the second as well. Sophic needs to try and find a kill here. And more importantly, the T's need to actually cross to the site, because in the meantime, rotations are starting to come in. Kinky will be able to get one, but that's another tag, and the flank only just works out. This is way too close for comfort as that scout is retrieved. Another headshot, and it's Patsy left alone. I don't even know if they have time to plant the bomb. I don't think they do. So this has been a big mess for the T side. They'll at least get to keep a couple of the AKs, but they ran out of time in the end and just got bogged down over onto the ramp. Hard Legion, they just can't convert these second rounds, but luckily for them, none of the weaponry actually converted over to the CT side. So they will still have a decent buy coming in and a chance to break back once again.
They seem to really struggle in those rounds, though. This is the second time they've fallen victim to Espada losing a pistol and following up in that second round. That's not ideal, though. Forrester should never be able to win that duel, let alone the fact that he started whiffing early on. Soptic as well pushes ramp. Will at least be a trade frag in the end, but this one's looking back and forth. Espada, thankfully, get a fight in mid, and that brings things back to a 3-on-3. Patsy under pressure. Gets a deagle to the back of the head. B-site now completely open. Forrester just going to lurk in mid here, and this could be crucial. If he finds his pick. Nearly a whiff, but lands it anyway. This leaves Dima all on his lonesome in a 1-on-3.
Hey, he's at least managed to turn it back a little bit, and considering at the moment there's still isolated duels, there is a chance. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to take things over the line. And it is going to be that break back. That was the one saving grace for Hard Legion in the last round, is that they did manage to at least keep themselves the majority of the rifles. And individually, they have been very, very good so far. So they turn it back. Once again, we're going to see these pistols forced up. I'm hoping that Hard Legion are going to be able to do a little bit better going into this next round, because they definitely do seem to have some issues when it comes up against these second round anti-ecos. Of course, this time, plenty invested into the rifles. Not a single player without one in hand. So if they do let this one slip, then you really have to question why Espada would bother playing with anything other than the pistols.
Cool, so you can see those odds, 1.11 to 5.8 right now in favor of Hard Legion, closing this one out, getting the 2-0. pretty clear cut who they think is going to take the win. And I have to say, I do agree. The only caveat to that will be this round, hopefully. We see Hard Legion keep it clean, dispatch of these pistols, get to 13.
Oh, already an early trade. Mid control is the aim of the game. FAMAS going to be retrieved, but it's not really ideal for Dima. So not the gun he would have wanted out of the remaining. Nice shot from Sotfik, though, and it does look like it's starting to happen again for Hard Legion. They're clearly struggling in these pistol round scenarios. Kinky looking around the corner. This time he will win the draw, and it does leave a bit of an opening, but Sotfik quickly looking to fill that gap, but he misses his chance, and that might be enough for this round to slip away. They're going to be starting to pressure onto his position. A kill in towards the Sport as well, and a messy spray leaves it all onto Rage. They just don't seem to be able to play versus the pistols. And now this man left in a 1 versus 3, 2 AKs retrieved as well. But the clock is ticking. Bear in mind, they don't have a kit to their name. So all he has to do is try and waste as much time as possible. 25 seconds left as the pop flash comes through, but he's going to get tagged down and there's no hope. They just cannot win these rounds versus pistols. Hard Legion, they really are trying their best to throw this match away.
I just don't understand how they keep losing these rounds. I mean, literally just go connector as a 5-man team, or even just go A. Just do an A execute. Do anything. Why are we taking like 1v3 scenarios, 1v2 peaks, giving up opportunities to these Deagles? Some of the duels being lost as well are just very... they're just tragic, to be honest. This is really disappointing from Hard Legion. They are giving Espada such an easy way back into this game. You can see they have no money in the bank. They have to save here. So only upgraded pistols, Kevlar and Kinky, but that will be all. So extremely likely, unless Hard Legion suddenly decide that they are also going to be gods with pistols now, that we see 12-8. This could have been 16-5, 16-6.
Yeah, this easily could be over by now. But Hard Legion, yeah, it's twice now they've had the opportunity to convert rounds, and it's twice that they've thrown them away, and they've given a lifeline to Espada, not only in this map, but in this series. The distance now down to 4. Money built up as well for the CT side, in a position at least where they'll be able to purchase into the next round. And yeah, this is where the T's finally get a buy on buy. However, this has actually been a lot of the time where Hard Legion have been better in these full-on buy rounds. The only worry for me is now we see those AKs on the CT side. We're going to have Espada be able to play passive and basically just force these, well, basically aggressive takes from Hard Legion. And I don't know if they'll have the ability to do that, especially as it must be quite tilting at this point to throw this many rounds away. Luckily, Sotfik is going to get very aggressive in middle. It seemed like he didn't have any support there either. Is Dexter about to do the same thing?
I think he might be. If he does this
This
right,
is such a risk.
he gets
Luckily,
the bomb,
his teammates come up to support. That's the real saving grace here. So that's a much better setup. That's what you kind of expect to see normally. The T's have been able to take some control. Nice shot from Sviat. They got to be careful from the man up the ladder. Finnegan's going to go down. So this leaves it all on to Dima. I think he knows the bomb's still around middle, so he might actually have a chance here. He's got the second kill already. On for the ace, in fact. As Forrester doesn't let him have it. It is going to be a 13th round. Still a very close one. And a very risky round from Espada. Like, sure, it manages to work out for Dima. But, like, it was that initial attempt from Sotfik, pushing individually. When they had the little crossfire with one facing down, the other facing up the top of mid, I don't mind that at all. That's a fairly standard mid setup. But when you have one player basically just trying to do it all on his own, that's where I'm not so much of a fan.
This is some scrappy Counter-Strike, though. Just very... I just don't have a better way to describe it. Scrappy seems to be a fair description, to be honest. Fiat takes an aggressive peek down mid. Dexter gets the flick back, shut him down. Looks like Finnegan goes on a bit of a riot as well. Crad will finally secure a tray, but still, a T-side stuck in a 2-on-4. It's going to be the Galil that gets aggressive, immediately shut down, leaving Rage. One is lonesome. Nothing they can do. Hard Legion throw away a buy. in just a space of 20 seconds.
No. Struggling to streak any rounds together at the T side. It is still mostly a hard Legion show, but I think most of that comes out from the first half. The second half, I think, well, they've got a few rounds, but as said, they've been the pistol and the force buy that they managed to take, and then the last, or the prior round. And once again, they're going to have issues when it comes to their finances, just investing into some pistols themselves. But this really is an opportunity for Espada to get themselves right back into the game. A win here would mean an eco has to come up in the next round, and well, that would leave a 13-11 scoreline before we actually get a purchase, which, considering this was an 11-5 scoreline, it is starting to get into the realms of possibility. T's looking to try and build into this B site, but there's a couple of players here in a crossfire. Patsy looking to try and hold the line. Giving a bit of spam through, doing some damage. It's looking like there's a couple of players who are about to attempt to fake the A site, but I feel like there's too much information already there. Nice shot from Krad, though. Is going to open things up. Dima, he's always that B anchor player. Likes to try and hold things down, is looking to stay alive, and the AWP on the cross has already dropped one. I'm not really sure what's going on with the other two players. They're just a little bit too late to the party, but luckily Rage is still going to be able to find one kill. It's given an opportunity for the T side, but by the time the remaining players actually rotate in, there should already be players there. Krad is going to be able to pick off another with the Deeg, though. An important kill as they push into the site. Another looking for it, but it's left all onto Forrester, and this time he does nothing. Finnegan converts a round that was way too close for comfort, and again, Espada slowly closed the gap.
This game ever closer, Tom. 13-10 now. Likely 13-11 as well. Hard Legion, very little they can do here once more. Just stuck upon these pistols. It's starting to feel very much like it's Espada's game to win. They're doing everything they need in this second half to make it happen. Only 3 rounds required. One of which looking like it's going to come relatively easy. Krad will make it a little difficult. Things get a little hairy in mid, but Dima and co finish things off as it will be that 11th for Espada. Now this is the one that matters. If they can win the buy here, they're basically equalized.
At least the buy comes back up now, but even still, it's not ideal. It's a decent purchase. And they've managed to keep the CT side economy honest, at least. Sure, they would still be purchasing into the next round, but if they can win this one, Hard Legion would be ever closer to closing out this match. Looking like they're just going to go for a straight A execution. They've got to be careful because there is some presence in middle from the CT side, and if they do get too aggressive, that could be all the information they need. Finnegan not been having the best match so far. Has to be careful. He's in such a risky position. Smoke gonna be falling out. Opts to actually try and play on the edge of it, and he's gonna win his duel. An important one, goes for the second, but doesn't quite manage it. Now Dexter gonna have the majority of the work to do, but the teammates are rotating in. Another man dropped, but Sophic on the edge of the smoke is able to spray down 3. Fantastic couple of trades, but it comes down to the 1 versus 1. Rage with 10 HP facing off against Patsy. A single bullet from that silenced M4 will be enough to finish off the round. Rage, knowing that he has time on the clock, is just going to try and get into the head of Patsy. Just wait patiently, but I like the position change from Patsy here. Move in towards that dark position, and he's going to be able to close the round with no real trouble. Another on the board for Espada as they continue to drag things back. And now the T's once again are going to be in financial trouble.
Sophic makes this look so easy as well. He gets a quad kill there if he doesn't run out of ammo. 1 more bullet left in the chamber. That's 4. Really shows just how strong some of the individual plays from Espada are right now as they rotate into the A site or into the B site, wherever it may be that Hard Legion throw their next punch. One thing's for certain, this is not going well for Hard Legion at all. Hard stuck upon 13 rounds. They're throwing everything at all these pistols now, hoping to see what sticks in mid, but unfortunately, Espada have left nothing there for them to find. Sophic already with 2, potentially a third here as well if he plays his cards right, as Espada make this look easy.
Oh,
Can't
dear.
even get the knife. I mean, that's just... What can you do?
Yeah, Rage was hoping just to get the extra money. That one kill, well, I guess it would have at least caused a little bit of extra financial restraints, but for Espada, it doesn't really matter. And now it comes down to crunch time. Both teams having their strong performance on the CT side. We're waiting to see if Hard Legion have what it takes to bring things over the line. Now, at this point, I'm starting to really doubt them. Some of the rounds have been close. They've definitely had their opportunities. But for now, it is Espada firmly in the driver's seat. And once again, they're going to get themselves an opening pick off the back of the AWP.
Crowd does find a trade though, so at least there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Very aggressive in top connector right now. Forrester likely to join him as well for a few jewels. Finnegan, really the main man they're going to be looking for, as he actually finds a frag CT. Doesn't look sandwiched at all though, meaning Finnegan can just do all of the work here while the rest of his team try and push towards B. They're pushing A. Is there any cohesion to this T side? They're basically taking both sides simultaneously.
Rage could actually just go A in this scenario, but not knowing that it's clear, it looks like he's about to push into the trap. In fact, they're about to push into him, and he misses his shot. Definitely doesn't seem like it's his day at the moment when it comes to the T side. And I am a bit confused with just the attempt to just jump out here by Sviat. Like, I don't know if he expected it to be clear after that round, but that was poor. And now look at what's left for Hard Legion. Just going to be some pistols, a MAC-10. I wouldn't mind seeing them just attempt to brute force the site, but it has been a streak of rounds now for Espada. A strong CT side with momentum firmly in their favor, and unless they severely slip up here, they should have map point.
I think it's safe to say that both teams apparently have trash T-sides, based on how this has played out so far. And that'll be the Tech 9 to try and save the day. Forrester will dive in with a MAC-10. That does ideally force a plant here, if they can get close to the site. Their only problem will be there's no CT smoke, and Dima, ever prone to taking this wide swing. Waits for the flash, takes the jewel. Bomb plant yet to come through. Picks, however, firmly in favor of Espada. That leaves just Fiat now, last man standing. He's in connector. Dexter, aware of the fact that someone could rotate into mid. Fiat has no chance in hell of doing anything here, really, does he? He will get himself into window at least. But that's just a bare minimum.
Well, he's found a Deeg onto Sotfik. Looking like he's about to be peeked from multiple angles. Can't really know why you'd take that face. Like, it seemed like his teammate. There you go. That was what I was expecting. But yeah, a little bit risky. Sviat does get caught in the end, and Espada now have themselves map point. It has to be now if Hard Legion are going to survive after a strong CT side, even winning both pistols, losing both second rounds. It's looking like Espada have got this in the bag. The T's yet to really show anything for the last 7 rounds in a row. It's been all Espada. Throwing this one away. Already a lot of damage done onto Forrester. He's been having a hard time. Nice kill at least. And the nade's going to hold out Dima, or at least I thought it was. He goes peeking in. An aggressive face, but is forced back into the corner. Going to try and escape here. And he will manage to. Of course, there's still a possibility of overtime for Hard Legion. They're definitely creating more difficulty for themselves if this is the route that they have to take. Molotov. Not actually sure how that caught fire there, I'll be honest. It looks like the wall caught most of the flames. But in the meantime, the aggression onto the ramp hasn't paid off. Do they expect Finnegan to be here as well? Who knows? But at the moment, it may not matter. Most of the duels going their way. Dima trying to just stick his opponent, but clearly struggling to finish his dinner. And the T side instead, rather than facing onto ramp, have decided to switch into B, and Patsy looking like he's got the wrong end of the stick.
They aren't committed to B at all yet, Tom. They are actually looking like they could rotate back, but in fact, Rage just being exceptionally patient here. This is like the pistol round all over again. Of course they wait for that. Never seen anyone do that before. Now 30 seconds left. Very patient play. A pick towards B, a pick towards ramp. I mean, it's going to be a free round for Hard Legion in the end, but that's really interesting that at 30 seconds, their approach is, let's just wait for the flank. We know they're prone to doing it, so let's just wait.
Well, time may be ticking in that round, but they still managed to close it out. And now this really is crunch time. Espada, they made the long fight back, won themselves 7 rounds in a row, but can they close this out, or is it going to be heading into overtime? Sotfik trying to spam through the smoke. It's mid-control once again. A strong start from Degster to get the opening pick. I think Rage may have just missed the timing as well to try and find a pick. They are going to be able to gain that mid-control, and there is a player up in the B apartments. It's looking like that's the direction they're hoping to go, but no bomb currently in their control. Sotfik has to be careful. I don't know if he'll expect anybody to be in this corner, and that will be a potential free kill. Although it looks like Krad's just going to try and use this to his advantage to get further into the site. Making his way through. Finnegan has been in the corner before, so Krad should maybe expect him to be there again. It might not matter. 2 kills have just come in from Swiat on the B site. The rotation's going to start coming back. This is disjointed as hell. Now, if they can kill off Krad, they've actually got a 2v2 situation. But with the amount of noise that's being made, I don't even know if Dima actually knows that Krad is still here. He's finally going to turn around, and they are going to pincer in on him. But it doesn't matter. He's doing the work that's needed of him. Dima, once again, is going to be in a 1v3 situation to try and save them from overtime. He's going to get that first kill. Krad, potentially a little bit too aggressive with his peaks. But the bomb is now ticking against Dima. And the fact is, he doesn't have a kit.
Very little time for him to work with. We'll just get nice and aggressive straight into the site. He's going to go looking towards bench. Starts to clear things out here, but seeing absolutely no one. It will be OT. 15-15. Hard Legion tie it all up. And I have to say, if you're a Espada there, you've got to be thinking, where the hell are they going? Are they taking A? Are they taking B? Okay, they took B, and now they take an A as well. Like, very disjointed, I think, almost a too simple way to explain it, because at one point Hard Legion quite literally had both sides. You could see Dima sort of just almost having an internal tug of war of not knowing, should he be fighting jungle, should he be fighting market, what does he do?
Well, it couldn't be settled in regulation, even after Espada looked like they had it in the bag. You could say the same for Hard Legion, in fact, with the way that they started this off, but we're now going to have to wait and see who's going to be able to take this in overtime. Of course, this Hard Legion managed to rectify their mistakes and win this out. They are done with the series, and they get to carry on with the rest of their Easter Sunday. Of course, if Espada take it, well, they're going to have to fight for a little bit longer, as we will be going to a third map. Of course, there is another series coming up after this, so make sure you do stick around. But I wouldn't expect you to be going anywhere just yet, as we do head into overtime. It is going to be Rage on that AWP. Of course, his counterpart in Degster has one, but also Patsy, a switch up in setup. Finally, the finances allow for Espada to bring in the double AWP. At the same time, they were relatively successful without it. So we'll see whether or not this actually works in their favor or acts as a bit of a detriment.
Aggression from the Sotfik doesn't pay off at all. Kinky already with an early pick. Hard Legion on a T side where they have really struggled, but starting to pull things back at the final moment here. Sviat seems to be popping off as well. A quick kill for him. Unfortunately, an early grave as well. Dexter trades, spots out Kinky, finds him as well. He's looking good right now. Not quite good enough for Forrester, but even so, Hard Legion have the A site. This should be fairly simple to close now. Dima, not an unknown factor to these 1v3, 1v2 style clutches, but unfortunately, always placed in very tough positions. This time, has to come in through connector.
Yeah, and there's still a man lurking around onto short as well. This is going to be a really hard clutch just because of their positioning. I think he's going to start getting shot from behind. Actually gets the kill. That's a little bit surprising. Forrester playing a bit of a ring around the rosy will be able to close this one out. A double up setup not working at all. Dexter with a nice attempt at least, but we see the first round going the way of Hard Legion. Of course, they were very strong on their CT side. Although it has to be said, Espada definitely had their money issues. Whereas in this 16k MR3 is not really going to be a problem for them. Back to the single AWP they go. Not really surprised by that. And I don't expect to see the same push into middle. I feel like that's something that Sotfik has attempted a fair few times. And it is so hit and miss that I wouldn't really want to be seeing it in overtime. They've gone for the aggression here again. This time onto ramp. Sotfik does have the support for Finnegan, but he can't afford to go down. And it seemed like he was a little bit confused as to where the next player was. Forrester opening things up for his team. Dexter now going to have the majority of the work to do. They should expect him around this bomb site, but there's so much presence already being taken by the T side. They've managed to get into the window, which is currently closed, and I like that. He ducks under the little hole so that they're not even going to know that Crad has made his way through. This should mean that Dexter is dead for sure, and the T side have played this one almost perfect. There's a reason most of the time that you leave that vent open, even if there is the risk that players could split through, just because it's so difficult in a retake to not make a massive sound cue. Now, the bomb is going to be able to cross onto the site. Patsy is going to hear it, but it's going to be so difficult to actually get back into the site here. The AWP homed in. You also have a player up in Palace, and you have the firebox as well being held. For Patsy to actually get through this should be nearly impossible. And with the time ticking down, he is actually going to get a second, but not going to be allowed anything more. 17 to 15 Hard Legion. It seems like they found what they needed on the T side of this map. If they can get the remaining round, well, it's going to be a struggle for Espada.
You got to think how decisive both of these teams were on their CT sides in regulation time. Now we've gone into OT. Hard Legion have been exceptional on their T side. 2 rounds back to back, both of which have been relatively clean, to be honest. If they get 3 here, surely there's no chance at all for Espada, given just what we saw of Hard Legion CT. Heck, some would argue even 2 rounds is enough, but I suppose only time will tell. Here it will be a quick pick in mid, so already a man disadvantage for the T-side. Things don't look too good for them. Kinky down to 12 HP as he's under a barrage of fire. In the end, it's Dexter and Patty to get 2 quick kills as Espada in a very good position here.
Yeah, finally managing to bring out a round. So it is looking like a 2-1 unless Sviat can try and pull off the impossible. 1v5 needed. And they're pretty much forming in on his position here. It's not going to be happening. It will be a round at least for Espada, but they're going to need to take all 3, or at least 2, if they're going to be fighting on in this matchup. Of course, for Hard Legion, a single round will keep them in it. And if they can find 2 on their CT side, well, that will be the match done. Of course, it has been a while since they've moved on to this side of the map, so we'll see if there's going to be some teething issues. But at the same time, they did look very strong. If they also want to bring up a secondary AWP, they can. And with the fact that every single player on their team at the moment is above 20 kills, it's a good sign.
Definitely bodes well for them here. On a side where Hard Legion should be feeling pretty comfortable. They have that form that we saw in regulation time, and this should be over. But it's OT, anything can happen. MR3 16k, money is no object.
Well, here comes the investment. Of course, Rage on the orb. Maybe expecting something a little bit faster here from Espada because they haven't actually invested into the AWP. Now, it was the quick rounds that actually worked for them on the T side. When they tried to be more passive, when they tried to play defaults, that's where they were picked apart by Hard Legion. So they do have to try and stick to that faster pace. They're going to be lurking around in the connector. This smoke is definitely not ideal. They're going to try and make their way into the connector. Nice opener, though, for Sophic. He's going to find that initial kill. Krad somewhat left out to dry here. I'm not really sure how he's going to do surviving, and in fact will go down. They're being picked apart one by one, falling. And although a couple of tags have come in, this is looking like an impossible scenario for the remaining 2 players. Of course, plenty of money available. Nice shot from Forrester at least. Will get them a kill. Trying to make this retake work is going to be tough. Spray through the box. That's now a 3rd player tagged within inches of his life. That's really making things look possible for them here, but unfortunately the time is just ticking too far. I don't think they can get into the site quick enough to actually finish off these remaining players.
I could give it a good go though. I mean, you might as well, as you said. No real reason to save the AWP here. It'd be interesting to see if what happens in OT is that basically both teams become useless at CT and gods on T side. It's kind of the polar opposite of what we saw in the 30 rounds.
Well, the thing is, overtime just comes down to who steps up individually most of the time, or if there's a big call or strong strategy that comes out. Because at this point, you've tried everything. There's not going to be anything new, especially on a map like Mirage. But there's not so much you can really test or try and throw in. So it really does just come down to who is going to make the big play that saves them. That is so risky from Forrester. It's something I've said before, that this guy just makes plays that you really do have to question sometimes. Kinky at least trades one back. He needed to hit the shot on the man crossing. Now he really is in a lot of trouble. And the CT side, they're letting things slip away once again as Espada start to grind things out. It's going to be a 3 versus 4. More potential in this round at least, especially with the 2 players up in apps. It means the short control is somewhat null and void. The Molotov will force one out, but Rage misses a sitter. That should have been the easiest shot of his career. Instead, Dima peeks out, finishes things off. This is looking like an 18th round, and Sviat not going to be able to do anything. Hard Legion have fallen completely flat at the most important time of the match. And now Espada 1 round away from closing it out once again.
It is looking done. If Hard Legion continue to play this way, we shouldn't expect much more. But they only have 1 more chance to show us anything at all. Opting once again for just that singular AWP, not wanting to try anything too different here. Curious to see if we're going to see any aggression, to be honest, from the CT side, or if it's going to be more sort of just passive play. Couple of peaks here and there, but nothing too wild. Forrester usually the one player that does decide to either get up towards B-apps or do something a little crazy, but this time the push actually comes his way. He just waits for Patsy, he walks right into his crosshair.
Well, still the potential of double overtime. And there's something that Hard Legion managed to bring out for the original OT, winning the last couple of rounds and keeping themselves in the match. It is going to be the T's rotating back in towards middle. Not really too much presence there. Hard Legion fairly happy to just keep their man advantage. They're going to have a player lurking outside the murder hole just to keep an eye into window. And the T's don't really have to rush here. They've still got a minute left on the clock to make a decision. Smoke going to be going down. Still got a reasonable amount of utility, but the real worry for me is they don't have any smokes. So I feel like it almost has to be a play towards the B site. If you don't have a smoke, going into A becomes very difficult. So many angles left to check. Forrester, he's going to be aggressive once again. He does have some support this time. and 30 seconds left on the clock. There's still not that much information. In fact, one player just holding from the spawn. Another smoke going to be going down. This is going to make things very difficult indeed. And as the flashbang goes over, Forrester is just able to hide back in this corner. The Molotov to support as well. This is screaming double overtime as the T's have got completely bogged down. Only 10 seconds left on the clock. Sotfik knows he has to try and make a play, and it is too little, too late. Dexter needs this bomb plant, and if they push him here, it should be round over, but he actually manages to get it down. He might have a chance here. I thought they would have pressured him for sure, but instead, it took a little bit longer than expected. It won't matter, though. Hard Legion, they've won themselves another round. It's 2-1 either side for the T side favor, and now Hard Legion, they get another chance to try and fight this back.
This game just refuses to end. Both teams struggling, I think, at certain points here. Hard Legion, a bit of a wet noodle, really, when it comes to the second portion of OT, but one round is what they needed, and that's what they get. They force us to even more overtime now, where they get to do this whole thing again. What do we need to see that's different from them, really, if they want to close this out? I think one thing for me is Forrester's aggression. I like it, but also I think he needs to be a bit more calculated about it. Maybe do it with his teammate, wait for a pop flash B, then take the duel. For him, it seems very much more, I'm just going to walk in and do what I can do. Which, to his credit, has worked a lot of the time as well, but it's definitely a double-edged sword for Hard Legion. Because if he falls, it opens up so many opportunities for Espada.
Well, no rest for the wicked. And the T's are going to now bring that AWP back into play. They were going for these faster rounds initially. Actually, some aggression into middle this time. Hard Legion, with 3 players at least focused on that point. B side was completely open at the beginning stages of the round, but nonetheless, now I'm going to be patient with their play, just checking if there's anybody behind the back boxes, and there is. An opening onto Finnegan. And another comes up off the AWP. A good start to this round for the CT side, with still a minute or so left on the clock. You have to remember the last half started in a similar way if they do convert this round, with them getting the first 2. But Dima has other ideas. Probably will have heard Crad around this angle. Still plenty of time for the T's to play with. Actually got to be careful of Sotfik as well, who has made his way into the window. Could be patiently holding for any sort of rotates, and it means that Crad is going to end up quite isolated here. Dima just waiting patiently for someone to make a move, but instead it's the peek out. Takes him down, leaving this in a bit of an awkward situation. The only thing is, Sotfik, he could be the one to pretty much put this to bed. That's a free kill for him. Now has an idea of where the second player is. He's going to open this up completely as the rotation starts to swarm in. The bomb looking to just be planted around that default position. Actually, the CT a little bit hesitant that there's still somebody within this window. It's not the case. And because of that, they're actually going to waste quite a lot of time trying to get back into this site.
Time which they desperately need, given that it is going to be a ramp play from Espada. I love this setup. Just double up, bait off your teammate, and play the clock, because it's exactly what will work. They do drop the smoke, but on the wrong side of the site. It's not going to do anything at all for them. They take the face first duels, but Dexter lines it up.
Oh, a 5v3 thrown away by Hard Legion. Not the way they would have wanted to start off this OT number 2. Of course, as said, this is their opportunity to close out the series. If not, Espada will take us to a 3rd and final map. Still not investing into a double AWP setup. Not something that seems to be within their playbook. And the T's actually going to be going heavy towards this A site early on, looking like they're going to gamble in here. Of course, Sotfik has been a bit of a bane of this CT side, but a nice start. They'll get rid of him. Crad goes down without a fight, and it's left onto Sviat, and he only manages to get one. Luckily, Rage has rotated in quickly to try and hold the cross, and without that split, it does mean it's a little bit difficult for the T's to actually get in. They have been able to get the bomb down, however, and another opening leaves this down into a tough position once again for the CT side. A 2v3, a one-man disadvantage, and only 30 seconds.
They have 2 smokes and a molly though. If they use these right, this actually should be more than possible. They just have to play the round correctly. Already Kinky forcing the first duel, gets the second. They use the molly to allow Rage to make it a one-on-one. 14 seconds to work with now. Patsy in a do or die duel. Smoke comes in towards the bomb. He's lined it up. It's so close. Oh, Patsy. Oh, you are so close, but not quite close enough. Hard Legion forcing a 19th round. Comes down to the absolute wire, though.
Well, of course, they did manage to do quite well on the T side previously, but as I said, it doesn't really matter so much in overtime anymore. I feel like the sides kind of come null and void. I've seen teams win 3-0 on the old nuke on the CT side, and then both teams win the 3-0 the next half on the T side. Like, it really can just come down to individual brilliance, individual plays, the pressure that comes up as well. But a good start for Forrester. Once again, his aggression has paid off. No trade available just yet. From the T side, Patsy managing to get quite far out onto the A side, even into the sandwich, and it's going to spot out Rage. There's some mistakes being made so late into the game. Kinky will be able to burn down one, needs the second kill. It's a slight shot through the wall, but this duel is so important, and he's going to manage to win that as well. Crad, in the meantime, has picked off another, and more importantly, I believe he has control of the bomb. So now Patsy...
He doesn't know yet.
Going to be in trouble.
What's going to work out so nicely for him is, although he doesn't know the bomb is T, he knows that Patsy's pushing towards him anyway. It's going to be a duel loss, though. And because he doesn't have that information, you can see Kinky and Forrester are nowhere to be seen. Patsy's thinking, oh, I have to clear this, because surely the other 2 CTs are somewhere nearby, but they're nowhere to be seen.
I think the worry is this is going to cost him so much time, and more importantly, in that duel, he actually lost the majority of his health, down to just 11, so chances are he's going to leave himself with only 20-odd seconds, if that, to try and run onto one of these sites. The cross being held with a dink already hit. This should be an impossible scenario for him, unless Kinky makes some serious mistakes, and that would be it. The timing couldn't be worse. He is going to hear the bomb being planted, though, and that should be a very easy kill. Hard Legion, this time it's 2 on the CT side. They've got that chance at a conversion once again, but we saw in the last how easily things can slip away. Again, this is close out the series. Or if you're on the Espada camp, to survive in it.
This has been absolutely wild, Tom. So back and forth. What's interesting about this Hard Legion side, though, is that 3 players above 30 kills. Comparison, Espada, not even close to that in some cases. So, clearly showing where the frags are in this match.
Well, that is Forrester leading the way. See if he can do the same going into this T side once again. CT's actually doubling up in towards that underpass. It's going to be an early trade. Dima. Oh, he doesn't actually manage to take that second kill. It looked like he had Sviat dead to rights, but somehow he's going to manage to finish him off. Patsy looking to try and aggress as well. If they can find this one, which they can. This is looking problematic now for Espada. They're down 2 men. Both players currently holding AWPs. So if the bomb does go down, this could be an issue. But you can see Hard Legion just slowing the pace. Looking to try and group up. They know that likely the Dexter will have one. Although just a wandering player in middle is going to hand away one of these kills. The bomb a little bit further behind. I'm surprised how delayed the pushes from the remaining player. I'd rather see them just group up, play the advantages, look for the trades here. But instead, Dexter's being given opportunity after opportunity. They need to kill him off. Somehow, this is quickly diminished from such an advantage to almost a disadvantage here. But they do manage to close him out. It's left onto Finnegan. 1 versus 2. Otherwise, they are going to be fighting for their survival, and he can't quite do it. Hard Legion get to 21. They need one of the next 2 if they are going to be closing out this series. And Espada, well, they need the remainder if they're going to survive.
It seems like Hard Legion have really found their groove now. These rounds are getting better and better. For Espada, unfortunately, this is it. As you say, if they want to survive, they're going to have to find the next 2 perfectly. And then we'll do it all over again for a 3rd time. Let's see, Dexter looking for a bit of that classic AWP progression. We've wanted to see more of him throughout this entire game, and he's been pretty good, but unfortunately cooled off in the second portion of OT, and it's just not what we want to see. As Rage wins the 1v1 duel against him with a crafty angle, just waiting for that push. That's been Rage's speciality, hasn't it? Just waiting for folks to get aggressive on him in unpredictable angles.
I think it's just patience. I think that's something that Hard Legion actually did a lot better than Espada throughout this match, but it was the aggression that also at times worked for Espada, so they've tried to go back to their bread and butter. Sophic actually going to be re-peeking this angle. Instead, they're just going to try and set up a crossfire into mid. Finnegan waiting patiently, but he's going to be slightly baited away by the smoke. This is going to leave a bit of a tough spot. Dima once again, though, able to kick things off, and they've made it work. They've dropped the bomb. Krad going to be completely wrecked, and while Sviat not really in the right position here to do too much. A player on the left side of top mid, I don't know if he'd expect anybody to be this aggressive. It does look like he's going to be checking that angle, but with 30 seconds left, I'm not really sure what the plan is here. He might as well try and go for this. There's a first kill at least. But now all the information's been had. The CT side know exactly where he is, and they will close it out. It all comes down to this. Crunch time once again. The potential for a 3rd overtime. And Hard Legion still just 1 away from closing out this series.
We've been here before, though. Time and time again, we've been in the position where Hard Legion can get the W, and then they've choked it at the final moment. That's why we're even in OT the first place. They had such a good lead, and then they let it all get thrown away. Espada built up back into the game, took us to first OT. This game really has been quite something. This time around, Dexter, great early duel, finds Kinky with the mid-aggression. Just trying to cross the boxes, not working out at all. No real opportunity to trade yet either for Hard Legion, unfortunately. They're looking for a duel. They do find it onto Dima. That will equalise the numbers. Sophic, meanwhile, in mid-window. Things get a little hot and heavy, but ultimately he wins that out. That leaves Hard Legion in a dire position now. 2-on-4, Tom. I think we're going back to OT again.
Oh, the timing couldn't be worse as well. Such risky play from Sophic, but it does pay off. And yeah, Sviat going to be left in a 1 versus 4. I'm not really sure what the peek into the flames was from the T side. That was such a silly play to make. And again, they're going to throw things away. It seems like the second they get close to closing things out, both teams actually feel the pressure as we now do sit 21-21. No one able to break the deadlock. No one able to close out the majority of their rounds. Both teams now have had the opportunity to close out this map. The majority of them, of course, going the way of Espada. They've had the most map points. But at the same time, the lead, as you mentioned, from Hard Legion originally was massive. And then you've also had their 2 attempts go very badly wrong. Both times, in fact, either in a 4v4 or a 5v4 in their favor. They're just not able to quite make it work.
this game really has been quite something. And honestly, I have no idea where it's going to end at this point, because it seems like both teams are just able to perfectly match each other right at those final clutch moments. Typically, the halves start off fairly lopsided. We're seeing a lot of kind of 2-1 halves. But in the end, they're able to equalize. That leads us here. A more extended pause before OT begins. I imagine a lot to talk about here. Tom, if you're the coach of Espada, what is your discussion point right now? What is the one thing that you're trying to batter home to your players to get them to do as we go forward into overtime?
I think a lot of the time when it gets to this point, I think the coach is probably just trying to keep them confident, keep their cool, especially if they go down rounds. I think it's important not to get tilted, not to get too over aggressive. The thing is, it's like a lot of the plays that I feel like a coach might necessarily punish have actually been working. Like Sophick's triple peak, like 3 different attempts to peek mid, should have been punished by Hard Legion, but he gets away with it. So that's going to be one of those rounds that ends up pumping up the team. And yeah, I guess like for either side, you basically just have to try and focus on making sure that you keep your head. I don't think that you're really going to be talking too much about in-depth strategies. Maybe there might be a few things while watching that the coaches have managed to sort of spot, like, okay, they have a tendency to do this, or we have a tendency to make mistakes here. But that's all you can really go for. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, let's try this execute, or let's focus on this, because at this point it's very difficult to actually read your opponent, even though there's been so many rounds, because a lot of the time in these rounds especially, they're going to be attempting to try new things as well. Like, okay, let's try and throw this in, let's try and do this strat, let's take this piece of map control. And most of the time it's going to be the mid-round calls where that actually comes into effect. And to be fair, being that this is an online tournament, the coach actually could get involved in the mid-round strategy. But at the same time, I feel like most of that will come down to the in-game leader.
Well, it looks like we are going to get ourselves back into the action as OT continues. I'm very curious to see how this ends up now. Of course, Espada starting on their CT side. Hard Legion over on that T side. Forrester, always a player that will be keeping an eye on. He has been just so notorious for taking very aggressive duels. I wonder what his game plan will be here. Nothing really too crazy either in terms of the buys. The only difference actually is Espada have gone for the double or play, Tom, rather than just the single. Yeah,
they've been one to throw it in there a couple of times. Patsy has been willing to take it, especially with how aggressive the T-side have been in trying to take mid. It's understandable that you want to have a secondary or like just facing in that direction. A lot of the time you'll see it try and dominate the apartments just because it's basically just a very long tunnel and a very easy position to try and hit AWP shots. Even if you're flashed off, there's only so many places they can go. But this round, the T's are trying to be patient, mainly because of the aggression of the last few. But I do worry a little bit that Hard Legion are trying too hard to counter some of the tendencies of Espada. And now Espada playing a little bit more passive could actually catch them out. And I think that's something that both of these teams could actually try and exploit. Something I feel like Snappy as an in-game leader is actually very good at doing is noting when a team doesn't necessarily like to go for these executes and force the issue, and then force them to do that. Force them into an uncomfortable position. But Krad, once again, is going to get an opener. A second coming up for Sviat as well puts them in an advantageous position. But one of the things that hasn't been too good for Hard Legion is actually closing out these rounds. This time, though, utterly dominant. It seems like the pause might have given them some new life, and already they're going to be winning this round. Dima doesn't stand a chance in the retake, and that is going to be a big confidence booster for Hard Legion to win a round that clean.
That is huge. I mean, literally only 44 points of damage done from one player. Every other player that took the duels actually on the A site and won them the round, not a single point of damage was done. Extremely clean. That puts them in a huge position here now to build up the rounds on their T side. Of course, 22-21. The game that refuses to end. Espada looking to tie things up once more. Back to the single AWP play as well. Clearly deciding not quite to go fully committed to that third. it again, gets the solo peek on B. Will be traded by Dima, but the real play here is towards A anyway, or it seemed to be. Hard Legion actually very uncommitted right now, deciding, you know what, let's just slow things down again for a second here. We're in a 4-on-4. We don't need to force the issue on A right now.
I guess it comes down to whether or not the risks are worth taking, and for them, just trying to be a little bit patient. They do have to be careful again. It's going to be this aggressive player around apps. It's going to be Finnegan, who has been causing them some issues, but it's Dexter to do the work with the AWP. They haven't really been able to shut him down over the last few rounds, and they are going to be looking for pressure. This is an important kill, and Forrester will get it just about. That should at least allow the bomb, but the bomb hasn't moved yet. It still sits in the apartments, or in the palace, sorry. I'm surprised by this. Maybe just trying to bait players, but the thing is, the rotation is coming in behind them. I feel like they've taken too long. Luckily, Forrester is going to get another one. He stepped up big in this round, but this flank is still coming. They need to try and deal with this, and as the peak comes out, they got to be careful. Although the wraparound could be a problem. The missed shots from Sotfig. He's going to throw the Molotov out. That'll be the information they need. Dima is going to be getting the kill. Forrester goes for the peak, but he's caught. And now it's left all onto Sviat. Spraying down, and he gets both. Great work from Sviat. That's 2 rounds to the good now for Hard Legion, but we've seen them here before. They need just 2 more to close this out. This shot was dirty from Forrester, and actually getting into the second as well. Probably saved them here, but, well, you have to give credit for Sviat for that clutch.
That's a beautiful double kill from Sviat. Just plays it to a T, but as you said, we have seen Hard Legion here before. History hopefully will not repeat itself. They're looking to close this one out once and for all, and no better way to kick off that mission than a perfectly clean T side. The goal here, take the A site. It's very simple. Every player is dedicated towards ramp. Finnegan, they're all coming at you, buddy. What are you going to do? The answer is absolutely nothing. He takes a quick power nap. Sent out of this round. The CT's ready to rotate in. They get aggressive. But unfortunately, just adding more fuel to the fire. Sotfik only good for one as Krad looks to already trade things back. No bomb plant just yet. Espada in a tough spot here. That's just bad to
Nice shot from Kinky, but there is still trades. Sotfik and Dexter have been 2 players that have definitely been performing. Molotov is going to force them back. Good utility usage, and Sviat puts this to bed. That's all 3 rounds now for Hard Legion. Just a singular needed, but at the same time, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You do see these rounds just swing back and forwards. Espada backs against the wall once again. The potential of a 3rd map, if they can close out all 3 and then take us to another overtime. But all Hard Legion need is one of the next 3 rounds, and it is done.
The one upside they've got is because of how clean it has been, even if they can only sneak in that 1 round that comes through a huge play from, say, Forrester, that will get them over the line now. So at least they have that to work with, something we haven't seen in any of the overtimes so far. It's always been 2-1s here, even 1-2s a lot of the cases for Hard Legion, but we've never seen that 3-0 streak. Perhaps that pause really was a breath of fresh air for Hard Legion.
Yeah, it might have also just taken the wind out of the sails of Espada. I feel like they are very momentum-based, which could work as a positive if they manage to take this first round. I think it's important that Hard Legion actually close this early. They've got the wind in their sails. They've got the AWP back. Dexter's actually bought an auto sniper. I wonder if that's intentional. He is normally the AWPer for the side. Maybe has an idea with how he's going to utilize this. Molotov will force Dima back into the corner. This is going to be more of an aggressive peek up from Kinky. Forrester does go rotating back. Now the bomb does look to make its way in the direction of B. And just look at where the remaining CT players are. They're taking a risk here. They're gambling in the other direction. And the fact is that they have got this one wrong. They need to try and get a rotation in quick. Kinky's going to hear all of the footsteps. He needs to pull off a miracle, and he's just not going to be able to do it. Rage instead. It's looking going to try and hold on to the cross, but instead they've lost another player. It's looking like 22 is almost guaranteed at this point for Espada. And while it's left onto just Crad, the auto sniper, even able to pick up a kill. And Crad, well, he's dead as well.
Tom, the auto got 2 kills. Such a disgusting
Good gun.
It's like the PP Bison. They're just as bad as each other.
PP Bison's for cool people, Brian. You just wouldn't understand.
I get it. I get it. I mean, it's just... not a fan. What can I say? 24 to 22.
You're not cool.
We established that. I mean, that's a known fact.
Does your girlfriend know you don't like the PP Bison? I feel like that could be a
bit of a
deciding
deal breaker,
factor. So, you don't like the Bison? Get out!
To be fair, when she played CS, the first gun she bought was a Bison, so maybe that says it all.
Wow, I already like her more than you.
I mean, this is just tragic. Much like Espada's T-side.
Not yet. They managed to win themselves the first round. 1 for 1, Ryan. That's pretty good set. I would say their CT side wasn't so good.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. They have...
One is better than none.
Very fair. At this point, it's so tough to say who even will take this. I mean, Hard Legion obviously in a better spot, just needing that 1 round, but this game has been really quite wild. Espada looking for the A play here once more. 40 seconds to make a play. This time around, no picks at all, which makes a change. Traditionally, we've always seen picks come through here early on in the round, but not going to happen. Instead, they just all in towards the A site, and it's getting a little bad here for Espada, to be honest, but thankfully Dima looks like he's going to pull things through. Not only 1 pick, but a chance at a second as well, but no, Kinky pulls out a double out of thin air, and Hard Legion make it happen. 25 to 22.
Well, it was a long one, that's for sure, but it is done. It's going to be Hard Legion taking the victory. We'll be back after a short break, as we have another match coming up soon.
Going through the smoke walk. She's gonna go down. Walks in with the AWP.
Position, Earthshaker's moving in as well. Echo Slam connects onto 2. Back row tired down as well.
Red always wins the brawl. Or can we cast the curse in? Oh, there we go.
LOOT.BET.
It's amazing how much I love betting on esports. It's so cool. What's even better is when I can use Cash Out. Wait, you didn't know about Cash Out? Cash Out is when you can get your stake back even when your bet is going against you. Just 1 hit and your money is safe. So go to LOOT.BET to cash out now.